And we're for sure live streaming.
You think so? I'll go on YouTube just to
Maybe
check.
let's check. Okay, great. I call to order this January 26th, 2023 meeting of the Moab City Planning Commission at 6:02 p.m. First on our agenda tonight, ooh, I like the new logo at the top of the agenda. That's pretty. Is citizens to be heard. We did not receive any emails or any communications outside of the meeting tonight. We do have some folks here, but I believe they are applicants for a later agenda item. So with that, on to the next item. We have approval of our minutes from October 27th of last year and our first meeting of this year, January 12th. Be wonderful to get those approved, get them up on the public notice site.
I'll motion to approve them.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes. A second from anyone?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and a second. Corey or Anna, you want to call a vote?
We can do
Just do a
vote, and that was a motion by Ruben, second by Jill.
Correct. Yep. Motion by Ruben, second by Jill to approve our October 27, 2022 and January 12, 2023 minutes. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye. All right. Unanimous. Okay.
Have we done a commissioners present?
Not yet.
Okay.
No. Figured it's hard with the YouTube streaming, but I guess you can't really see super well. Okay, present tonight, back up a little, is myself, Kaya Marienfeld, other commissioners, Jill Tatton, Ruben Villapando Salas, and Jeremy Lynch. We have city planner Corey Shirtliff, and also our assistant planner, Anna Englund. So, yay. All right, next we have a public hearing tonight. This is for a proposed ordinance 2023-01, an ordinance approving a zoning map amendment for 11.57 acres of a parcel located at 1492 South Aggie Boulevard and Highway 191 Moab. The parcel number is 010018-002. And the hearing is on a proposal to rezone it from R4, which is a manufactured housing residential zone, to C4, which is a general commercial zone. We will open the public hearing, then have a presentation, and then we will keep the public hearing open, and then we can close it at the end because we currently don't have anyone here and haven't received any comments, but I want to leave it open as long as possible if that works for staff. I will open the public hearing on this item 4.1 at 6:05 p.m. and I think we're ready for presentation whenever you guys are.
Okay, so this rezone is going to be for a proposed high-density multifamily development, an estimated 108 units to be developed. The background behind this is that the petition was submitted with us on October 24th in 2022, it's going to include a portion of phase 1 of the Aggie apartments that we've already seen and approved, and then a full new development of Aggie apartments phase 3. And this is how things are set right now. Phase 1 is already in a C4 commercial zoning district, and then we've got the Aggie Development Townhome that we are familiar with, and that's going to be in the R4 or residential zoning district. And so to continue with what we've already done with the higher density development, we want to bring the C4 down to phase 3, and then a portion of the phase 1 development where the parking area is. As far as the master plans go, this area is designated in the USU master plan. This is kind of more of an updated plan of how things are sitting right now as far as zones go and uses and that type of thing. It looks like they're designating this more for student housing, I'm assuming, based on this. Here again are utility plans and how the layout is as far as what's going to be developed and what is proposed. And then here are the impacts of the difference between the R4 zone and the C4 zone. There are a lot more allowed uses in the C4, but according to the master plan for USU, they still want to keep this as a higher density residential development. And so that is the introduction. Do you have any questions?
I have none.
Would you like to talk to the applicant, or do you have any questions for the applicant?
Can you, maybe Anna or Corey, reiterate sort of the background on this all coming up? I know we had discussed this approaching in parts last year, but just for the sort of general public listening, I think it might be useful to kind of reiterate what the overarching plan is, why the C4. I know upzones are always something that people are particularly curious about, even though this is in the highway commercial sort of area a little bit more, and it would allow sort of more of the mixed use kind of development that we want to see. But just maybe. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. So what happened is in 2012, these properties were annexed into the city were owned by the USU. And as they annexed it into the city, they just kind of did blanket zoning, not knowing exactly how things were going to be laid out to begin with. And so they chose to do the uppermost lot in a commercial or the C4 zone, and then this lower into a R4 or residential zoning district, this lower lot here. And then there was also all of this lot as well. Maybe I should bring it to the current zoning. Let me see. Oh, wow. I'm sorry.
Somewhere.
I think you know what? I don't think I put up that slide, unfortunately, but it is in the packet in the staff report. But just to let you know, so phase 1 is all in the commercial zone except for in this lower half right here where it was in the R4 zone where the parking for the higher density residential is. The reason why they want the C4 zone is so that they can get the additional height that you can have in the C4 zoning district. The R4 zoning is a 30-foot height maximum, and the C4 is a 40-foot maximum height.
Hey, Anna, could you toggle to the proposed zoning page?
Sure.
Perfect. Because that, I think, does have a good identification of the current zone split, because it is also saying the proposed zoning.
Last year, we did go through another rezone for the area, and that was for the Aggie Phase 2 twin home development. So the northern part of this development was in the commercial zone, and the southern part was in the residential zone. And it made more sense since it's a much lower density project to have it all in the R4 rather than in the commercial zoning district. And then now it's reversed where we're expanding on the higher density and south that we've already approved to the north. And so what we want to do is change this zone to C4 to match what was already approved so that there's there's a cohesiveness between all of the developments that are going to be higher density.
It may be worth coming out of the presentation and pulling up the GIS potentially, if this explanation isn't good enough, that if we were to pull out, imaginarily, pull out and scope away from this project, what we're seeing was a blanket zoning that, like Anna had described, attributed to the basic geometric parcel layout. So the zoning didn't necessarily correlate with the way the topography of the land laid out. It was just a blanket zoning that when we annexed said, okay, generally we're thinking this is going to be residential, generally thinking this might be mixed use. Now that the project's coming in, and Anna's explained this, I think, pretty well, they're getting into the actual development, so they're knowing exactly what styles of development will be best used by which styles zoning. And what this proposed zone would do is create consistency between that apartment project versus having split zoned, similar to the amendment of zoning that we did with that R4, which is, yeah, I think Anna laid out really well. So if we were to scale out to the current zone map, it does show a little bit better, but it may not be necessary if that makes sense, it's understood.
Would you guys like us to show you what the current zoning map is? Share that with you?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. Give me a second and I'll pull that up, okay?
While Anna's pulling that up, this is something that may or may not be a concern of the commission, but could have forecasted that maybe some, whether citizens are observing this or commissioners are feeling this, that this project has been broken up into so many different approval sets that it is kind of hard to understand how the big picture makes sense or how we're actually moving towards a goal. It could be perceived as that we're doing this very piecemeal, or that we're making approvals and then changing different approvals down the line. So it seems really disjointed. The applicants, which it was included in the packet, provided what is their master plan set for this area. So while this seems like we've done a lot of adjustments and then this is just one more zone change, why didn't we do the zone change when we were doing other zone changes? The answer kind of falls to, within this first project, this is the final phase of what we'll call this most north section. So it is not expected that you're going to come back in another 2 months and have another zone change right around this area. We are moving forward with the plan that you're seeing proposed. The development team, they are looking at now the southern, or what will be kind of up the hill above the campus projects moving forward, but we're not really at a place that we're confirming that master plan yet, but this section has been confirmed. So they were willing to say, yep, this is the master plan identified here.
As far as the master plan is concerned, any mixed-use areas that we should be expecting soon? With commercial on the down floor, residential on top?
Do you have that in your packet?
They don't, we didn't share that, but if you would like to come up.
Yeah, if the applicants would like to come up, just introduce yourself, say your name into the microphone, and try to speak into the mic if you can.
Hi, Nathan Schimmelberg with GWC Capital. Glad to be here. I have the master plan here. It's just on my iPad. I can just walk around and show it to you.
Or we can
I've got it.
give you something that you can share your screen.
Okay.
Corey, will you?
Have a dongle.
I don't know if that'll plug in.
It
Will that
has a
plug in?
USB, which may not.
Yeah, iPads.
Some of these newer ones.
If you have it on the master plan, you know, page,
What?
if you could just kind of show it around, I think that would work.
If, for public purposes, showing now, but if you're comfortable, we can also get a copy of that and put it.
Sure. We can send, I can email it to you right now.
If you want to email it, or that would be, yeah, I can do that.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
We're taking a pause.
Sorry, everyone.
That's all right.
If you have a machine that can plug in a little better, maybe you can just do that with.
Yeah.
That's probably easier.
Love master plans because I can always expect to wait 30 seconds to get it loaded up.
Yep. Great.
Phase 2. Phase 3 is the rezone over here for Utah State's campus and kind of what they own. About 40 acres of this. And then as Corey mentioned, on the southern end, this is the mixed-use next phase that we will be discussing with them tomorrow in more detail. But V4 is phase 4, and V5 and V6. And kind of a granular plan, I guess, towards the end, just trying to see what best use we can use with the layout.
That phase 4 has, I think, what you're asking about, the commercial, retail, some
Mixed use,
mixed use stuff. There's we're trying to put some affordable housing there by doing, what do you call them, accessory units on some of the dwelling units there. We're just trying to work with the city on the code and put in some of those that may be more affordable. And then there's some single-family units you can see there, just single-family lots.
Okay, yeah.
So this will all be coming before you in the coming months, but this is the original, kind of the first look at it.
So when we say mixed use, we're expecting like shops, or is that single family and accessory units?
No, there's some commercial there too, like some
Okay.
restaurant shops, that sort of thing. And then there's some condos. You can see some townhomes and then some single-family units, some with accessory units, some just plain single-family units.
Yeah, I think that puts it in a much better perspective on how much more there is.
Yeah, yeah.
We have been looking at this northern end of it, and it feels like that is kind of the end of it as far as the campus goes. And you
Oh, yeah.
realize there's so
Yeah, we're
much
excited
more.
about the remainder here. And,
It's about when it gets fun, I think.
what?
It's probably when it gets fun.
Yeah, really.
Well, cool. Thanks for showing that.
Great, thank you. Anything else that you'd like to add, Nathan, while you're there, back and forth?
No, just glad to be here and answer any questions and take any input you have.
Great. Any questions from the commission?
This one seems pretty straightforward. I don't have any questions tonight.
Mike?
This one
Sorry.
seems pretty straightforward. I don't have any questions tonight, and I'm prepared to make a motion unless anyone else would like to speak.
I think go for it.
Okay, I'll make the motion. I'll move to forward a positive recommendation to the City Council on ordinance number 2023-01 to rezone 11.57 acres of a parcel located at 1492 South Highway 191, Aggie Boulevard, Moab, Utah, parcel number 01-0018-0002, from R4 Manufactured Housing Residential Zone to C4 General Commercial Zone.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Right here.
All right, we have a motion by Jeremy, a second by Ruben. Any discussion before we vote? Okay. We'll do a roll call vote, maybe. Anna, you want to prompt us?
All right, let's do a roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Well, so for this one, you would want to just say our names individually, and then we'll yay or nay.
Okay. So what? Yeah, because I
Either
don't know
one.
everyone's names yet. And I have my readers on and I can't
Oh,
see
that's okay. That's
far
all right.
distance,
Sorry, I didn't mean to
so
put you
I'm
on the
sorry.
spot.
No worries. Roll call vote for Jeremy,
Yay.
Ruben,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
and Kaya.
Aye. All right, motion passes. That recommendation will go to the city council, who will be the final determiners of that. Thank you all. Appreciate it. You're just excited. Yay. All right.
We could incorporate woo.
Woo, woo. Depending on the inflection, it could be whoa.
Oh, see you guys.
All right. Next, short and sweet, future agenda items. 2023.
All righty. We do have a number of DRT active projects. We talked about those last time in the site plan approval process. So nothing in that range, I think, is prepared for Planning Commission in our next meeting. Just as an update, we do have some projects going to City Council that had been recommended by Planning Commission, and then we're in the process of getting figured out. So we should be finalizing the Ridgeview Cove Estates final plat subdivision. Now, this is a project that I think has skipped over because the preliminary plan was intact from a far previous approval, and so they're on their final plan, which is just City Council. But this will be a subdivision approval just off of 400 East, down across by the high school. So they're cultivating the final subdivision improvement agreement, so we should have all the final materials to actually get them moving on. That's been in the works for a while now. In addition to that, we will be moving the Abbey Phase 1 final plat that was reviewed by Planning Commission back to City Council for final approval now. You made a positive recommendation on that item. And then Aggie Phase, is it 2? Aggie Phase 2 final plat. There is no phasing in that program. That'll be going before City Council as well. So some of the work that Planning Commission has done to move those forward is finally getting to the final steps of each of those applications. The likely project that Planning Commission will be reviewing at its next meeting is a minor subdivision application. Needing to ensure that the easements are where they're need to be and recorded is kind of what's hung us up. We were going to have that prepared for you tonight, but just need to cross a few more of those final details there. That's kind of on the more specific front. General staff update is that we just completed our strategic planning sessions with the council. Feel it was really successful in bringing what were a number of priorities that were both at the Planning Commission level and staff level to the City Council. I don't know if before adjourning we want to have Luke speak to that at all. It is, I think, fairly important to the Planning Commission as you're going to be pretty activated in the initiation of a lot of these both directives, code changes, and everything else that we're hoping to do in this next fiscal year. So still have until about June to conclude our previous fiscal year and some of the goals that we had set out then, but pretty lofty goals moving from 2023 to 2024. Additional staff updates as we just finalized interviews for our assistant planner. There are some potential applicants that we are hoping to coordinate with further. Some are remote and some are here, so we'll see how we're able to hopefully bring new staff on to accommodate all these new ventures. Anna, is there anything else future-wise we ought to keep our eyes open for?
I think you covered everything pretty well. So.
Yeah, everything in DRT. I don't want to get too specific till we're ready.
Yeah, I think some of they're all everything so far in DRT probably needs another round of comments. So.
Okay. I think that's about all we have. Any questions from the commission to staff on any updates or anything we're at?
Nothing. I have nothing.
Okay. Easy enough. I guess I should mention somewhat maybe of the transition into our strategic planning is that we are moving forward and reactivating, and because Anna and I were out with the outdoor lighting and landscaping ordinances.
Yep.
Landscaping, we have scheduled consultations with our Water Now and Western Resource? Out there?
I think so. Yeah.
Western Resource Advocates?
Advocates, yes, thank you. This next week. So we should be getting that draft far more accessible to the Planning Commission to review one more time. Have made pretty good strides with that. Some recent reviews and recent commentary as we're going through plans and some challenges that have come up, people kind of critiquing the current code, has made it even more relevant of why this is so important to advance this. And then within the same concerns, dark skies as well. So for any of the public that does watch and is interested in as we're moving forward, it's, I think, important to acknowledge that we identify some of the shortfallings of our code, but that's why we're so activated to moving it forward. But also within the approvals now, we have to move things forward under the code provisions that we have. So just being aware that we are, trying to work with what we have, but certainly identify how to make it better.
What ended up happening with the lighting ordinance potential amendments at City Council? I apologize, I did not follow what resulted from that after we sent something over to them.
They were generally in favor of the updates. I think what they were requesting was a pretty robust summary or kind of a re-presentation of the importance of dark skies. So not only just the updates, but why it was important to install the ordinance in the first place, which is a pretty lengthy process and education platform. So I'm not sure how we'll move forward with educating the council, and then also kind of for the public to reintroduce a lot of these topics and why we're committing to incorporating into that. I think more pointed conversations we're trying to coordinate with the county on this to make sure that there's consistency between the two jurisdictions, as really there's areas of our valley that overlap or intertwine pretty tightly. We would just want it to be as easy for our community to say, this is a general set of rules. Yeah. Where that becomes difficult is the observations of wanting to be kind of what I'm kind of saying is doubling down on, yeah, we know it's that hard and we want it to be that hard, versus that might be too hard for developments to achieve and we need to find a compromise. So that's where we're hopefully going to find some middle ground versus, I think, creating two different drafts. But that was the most recent meeting we had as a kind of a joint session between County Commission, City Council, and both planning staffs trying to collaborate.
Yeah.
I don't know if we found exactly the shared ground just yet, but I think it is our hope to find that.
What were their general thoughts on the getting rid of the compliance, the mandatory compliance, sort of retrofitting?
Not in favor of that. I think where the strategy or the direction our planning staff would like to go is kind of from that, is it feasible, enforceable, and defensible?
Yep.
And that's where we're kind of generally coming from. And what that means is universal application of code, meaning we are not picking and choosing when we're enforcing it or where we're enforcing it. Everyone gets the same take. Yeah. And across the board, that's kind of our, with conditional uses and permitted uses versus overlays. The county, and not to take away from the strategy, I think has a structure where they are more in favor of using conditional use permits and overlay zones, and in this case, using review systems that make it a little bit more subjective versus objective. And with the city being as tight as it is, I think it does make sense that it should be very objective.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was one of those where we know it's hard and we want to weed things out because it's so hard, versus find a more accessible path forward, which is where I think our position is right now.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that. Two quick things. I've had some feedback from our council liaison that he is not getting the agenda emails with the planning commission, and that it might be useful if he is actually included on that email rather than having to go find the agenda.
Right.
It's not a hard thing, but it's nice. It's a nice little, hey, ping.
Definitely.
Meeting.
That makes sense. I think adding him to that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, as I get Luke emailing me, do you have the agenda?
Sure. Yeah, that's an easy adjustment.
That would be great.
We'll add that.
And then also I'm curious, and I'm noticing, and I think it's really wonderful that Grand County, through their sort of Grand County Connects page, has started really consistently giving information about planning commission meetings, not just county commission meetings. And I would love if that could be something that we could add to, I don't know, someone, whether it's Lisa or someone, I think it's just a really great way to try to engage people, because I try to share things when I can, but I'm not always on it, and I know a lot of us aren't either, but it'd be really great if like the agenda and maybe a highlight of an important item could be just in the description on Facebook, on Moab City's Facebook page before the meeting.
Totally. I think the intention behind that is you're right with staff on that. So Lisa and staff, we've actually been going through what would I guess be a public process of inquiring bids for a system that is similar to theirs.
Oh, cool.
It's not the exact same system, and I'm not sure where we are in the qualifications to kind of talk about it, but at strategic planning, we confirmed we were going to go that direction with that platform. So we're going to have a similar platform than Counties Connects.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So we will have our own version
Yeah.
of that, because what we're trying to do is move away from the Facebook information distribution, because there's just so many issues with that, and the ability to, I think, derail or generate misinformation even on a city forum is a possibility given that structure of social media. So this is going to be a really interactive, very dynamic system where we can provide a lot of information. So we're really excited about it.
Okay.
It's going to be a lot more accessible and probably more user-friendly than any of the systems we have so far.
Yeah. Is there still a mechanism? I certainly understand the issues with Facebook, but I think the reality is our community exists on Facebook. And I would hate to add extra steps for people if we don't need to. I want someone to be able to say, here's what the Planning Commission is doing, to share it with people easily through a mechanism that they already know how to use. Because I do know also that people for the last couple weeks have been having a hell of a time finding things from the county, I think, because of their new system.
Yep.
So I would really hate for that to happen. And even if it's just a little graphic with, hey, there's a planning commission meeting, click here for the agenda, that would be amazing. And then at least people are getting that if they're regularly seeing it. It doesn't all have to, all the info doesn't have to be there, but I would at least, maybe my personal recommendation would be to still have there be an existence, a presence of that on Facebook as a way to get
Totally.
there.
And yeah, so Lisa and staff, they're, I
Like-
think,
like
all
the county does.
pretty keenly
Yeah.
aware of some of those issues that are going on and learning from that.
Cool.
So we won't abandon our presence. But I think better, both within our website and within our social media presence, is when you're clicking on these links for more information,
Yep.
it's taking you to the appropriate forum.
Yeah.
Versus maintaining in those forums that really aren't well designed. So within this new forum, it's not even just be commentary, it's abilities to interact with other citizens, abilities to interact directly with staff, directly with council members, and then you're gonna have a multimedia facet. So you can walk through presentations, GIS files, project areas. It's really gonna be, if you're interested in the downtown parking plan, you'll have full access to zoom in and out of those project areas and then comment on those I'm selling it kind of a little bit, but
No, do it.
say you're a pedestrian, you're walking, and I have an issue with this stop sign or this project area, you can go to this forum site, and through our website or media, we'll direct you. You won't have, how do I get there?
Yeah.
If you just pursue this within Facebook or within our website, we'll get you to the right place, is the way that system's set up to be. But you can pinpoint that, take pictures, upload, and make commentary. And then other people can say, yeah, I do feel that way and agree. Or other people say, well, I know we're doing this. But then it's immediately our ability to say, we are addressing this, or, oh, we didn't know about this. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Or, oh, this is a part of our master plan. Go check that out over here.
Yeah.
I'm not a technology person. But going through this system, I think it will be the more people begin to play on it and use it, the connections really become pretty outstanding and numerous in capacity. So even for folks that are, challenged to even get onto our website, if you can get to our website, this will help usher you into being as involved as you want to be, or researching as far as you want to.
That's great.
Yeah, it'll be really, I'm sure Lisa Church will come to the council and really present the full forum when we're getting there. But I know the fears of getting onto a new system that's unfamiliar. I was kind of the same position of like, how's that going to work? People may not go there, but I think if you're looking into it at all, it's just going to naturally funnel you into the right place.
Great, great. More just the notice aspect about planning commission.
Sure.
Just using those social media
Sure.
channels that the city already has. I think that would be great,
Yeah.
you know. I just want to make sure, and I know the city is as well, and it's really just like a couple people trying to do a million things, which is always the issue.
Right.
But, you know, sometimes we have like, hey, there's a public hearing, it's about this, you guys want to come, but it's not on a consistent basis.
Sure.
So I'd love
Sure.
to see in whatever way.
Just a little more uniform across
A
the
little more
board.
uniform
We
process.
can do that.
Like, every Monday, there's a post that there's a planning commission meeting this Thursday, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a public hearing or there's not a public hearing. I mean, something like that would just be
Right.
fantastic. And I think would maybe help just people realize that the city is trying to inform people that things are going on. Because it's really hard, because I get things, well, like, why are you sharing this?
Right.
Like, are you the city? I'm like, no, I'm not the city, but
Mm-hmm.
you should know about this.
Right. I can take that feedback to
Yeah.
Lisa, and have it not be maybe automated, but in a way that is very regular. I think
Yeah.
that is an important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Thank you for hearing that.
Sure.
I know you guys have a long list of stuff that you're working on with strategic planning and
I'm just
everything
gonna give it
too.
to somebody else. It's not, no, I'm kidding.
And then, and it sounds like this is something that's probably happening in the course of that, but maybe even sooner, and we mentioned this last time, it would be great to have that priorities list, just up somewhere that's publicly accessible, that someone can look at.
Yeah.
I don't know where that should live, but
We can certainly provide that. I can coordinate with Lisa. I think what I would be wanting to wait for is the council's determination of what that priority list looks like.
oh, didn't they already?
They're through the strategic planning, it wasn't just planning, it was, here's our selection of
Yeah.
priorities. And
Yeah.
some of them were planning, some of them were community-based, some were visioning-based, some were council-based. And so what we have as far as our static list is kind of just a working staff list. And what I'd be willing to share it with anybody that is interested, but I'm not sure I want to post that because that's just the staff's position on what our priorities
Yeah.
would be. But
Yeah.
really, we get our direction from you and the council.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm
But yeah,
only
if
asking
anybody
'cause
wants
it's,
to
you know, it's been in
visit-
our packet, it's definitely public, but,
Yeah, especially the one that Nora, I think, had published in 2021, and then we have some updated materials and then updated priorities that are very interesting. I am excited that the council did give us the potential go-ahead on some really urgent initiatives that,
Right.
to kind of put us in a position of being proactive versus defensive. Yeah, so there's some good things coming,
I'm excited.
yeah.
I should read the paper today about highlights from the city's strategic planning session.
That would be fun. That was great to have Sophia there.
Other than that, I think that's really it. I just
Parking
wanted
fee
to.
in lieu? Conversations from Jailhouse and moving forward with that?
Yes, so that's something I'll need to confirm with council because of course there is a larger parking requirement quandary. You know, it's not that we want to reduce it overall or increase it overall, but how we're dealing with parking universally. And I think communicating with the city engineer today, we want to identify maybe a hot list, and this is something we'll bring to planning commission, but in the strategic planning, I think the idea of a hot list maybe have gotten kind of shelved to the idea of waiting to the code rewrite to handle everything. But I think it's more evident in the last 2 weeks that there are things actively in the code that are broken or missing that we're having to deal with on every single project. So even in between the time we activate into the municipal rewrite, we're still having to deal with things that are exposing the city to potential issues. So that is one of those that I would put on the hot list. It's really just a math problem that we're going to fix one of the variables in the math problem. We're not rewriting the whole code system. We just need to fix that one math problem. So with the jailhouse parking perspective, I really hope to, from a staff initiative, which we don't often do, is saying we're going to initiate and propose a text amendment from the staff level. It doesn't usually happen that way, but I think we've had enough feedback from the planning commission and enough observation from council that I feel confident in putting together that from a staff perspective.
And really that text amendment would be, and I don't remember which piece of it was, but it was that fee in lieu cannot be more than 30%, right?
Correct.
Saying that, you know, an exception can be made
Correct.
to allow it.
Correct. Well, yeah, and just since it's on the table, what we'd very likely do is just change it from that 30% to 70. So it's a one number change, but what it would do is open up a world of possibilities for developers to develop in the fashion that the general plan states, but also allow us to recoup fees to direct them right back into the public where they ought to be versus just letting that go away, just excusing it.
So I've been thinking about that and just raising the number itself, but does that cause any problems with just, you know, people, I guess they're not being an exception, and them opting for everything to be fee in lieu? Because there are reasons that they can say, we will pay this, and then this is how many we'll build, and then it's up to them. Is that on the developer to choose what their payment in lieu is?
The check and balance in that is that it is a discretionary public hearing action by the planning commission, which gives us discretionary authority to say, you're just choosing the easy way out versus trying to do the right thing. And similar to effect, the exception, which is the kind of the middle part of that equation, so they provide whatever they're gonna provide, there's an exception in the fee in lieu. Both of the, what we'll call exceptions or variations in the static parking count are discretionary by this commission based off our provisions in the general plan and the criteria of the code. So I feel that check and balance is maintained. In that if the commission feels, no, you haven't adequately gone to the lengths you ought to,
Got it.
you can
And then
deny
payment
it.
also goes to the council, and then
Just you,
another step.
just the planning commission at this point. If we want to change that, and potentially I could see that with the fee in lieu being that there is a budget component there, I could see that being a recommendation at some point and then council. But as of now, it's commission based.
Okay. On the hot list.
It is. It is. There's that and a few others that are just kind of missing sections that never got updated correctly, or it's outstanding language that creates problems.
You ought to just pump it into some AI and say, fix this code.
Well, within even the state code, and we've talked about this, it updates every year, and we are needing to catch up with a lot of that. So we're pigeoned between meeting our existing code and meeting state code, and how that
They meant.
agrees or doesn't agree sometimes.
Yeah. Cool.
But AI would be nice just to have it go. But for now, it's just Anna and I, or we hire a consultant. So I think that's where hot list is going to be Anna and I, and then the big, what I've called major surgeries, are going to be consultants with probably coordinating with us on the major surgery parts, and then the update, which is just to get rid of outdated, incorrect, conflicting code. That'll be just consultants on their own, just double checking stuff.
Yeah.
And there's also some code that we need to catch up on that state law has changed that we're still not meeting, so.
Nice.
Forward movement. I think that's the mantra right now.
Yes, which is great. Also, you've been in this position for a year, and it's been wonderful, so thank you, Corey.
Hey, thanks.
I'm just realizing that,
Almost, yeah, pretty
Yeah.
close to exactly.
it's
Yeah.
fantastic. We're so fortunate, seriously.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you, and Anna, you're an amazing addition, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
I feel like everyone's like, yeah, the planning department, they're doing great. They're like what people are aiming for as far as functioning departments in
good to
local
hear.
government. So,
That's good to hear.
Thank you.
but I know you're always it's always that you can't possibly please anyone.
Right.
So,
Right.
but we know you're working really hard. So thank you. We do officially, I will announce, we have an official vacancy on the Planning Commission as well. Jessica O'Leary has resigned from the commission after serving for a couple years. There is an opening. I will just say publicly, if you are interested in joining the Moab City Planning Commission, it is an appointment at the pleasure of the mayor that is confirmed by City Council. The way to do it is the same way all of us did, which is just to write a letter of interest to the mayor. If you want to CC Corey, myself, anybody else, you're welcome to. And then it'll be up to her to look through that, talk to folks, and make a recommendation to City Council for that. But we do have an open seat on the City Planning Commission now. So you have to live within city limits. That
Thank
is
you for bringing that up.
the requirement.
Yes, thank you.
I know there are a few folks I've spoken with who are interested, who are planning on reaching out to the mayor, but it is obviously open to anyone who qualifies, which is just an adult who lives within Moab city limits. That's it.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm still on here.
Ruben was just reappointed, so we our standards, they're low. No, I'm kidding. You can go on to be the planning director someday or a city council member. The sky's the limit. Here's how you do it.
We are all equals here.
Well, the one pitch I will give to anybody listening is this sounds really cheesy, but the future of Moab is being shaped within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly. The number of applications and potential scope and positions of development and annexations have gotten to a point where it's really the new trajectory of what Moab's future is going to look like. It's going to be shaped now. So it's a very exciting, and also if you really figure yourself a true Moabite and a true local, this is your time to help shape this community and preserve and protect and encourage it to grow in the way that I think a lot of the local community would want us to do. So that's my pitch of this is, if you ever kind of considered, hey, I don't like where things are going, or I'm excited about where things are going, but I want to be a part of it, this is the place to do it.
Yeah, and to learn, honestly. No one up here has a planning background necessarily. We just all are interested in the issue, have some personal and professional experiences that are relevant, and I really think that's it. And I would say relevant experience is just you live in Moab, and what direction Moab goes in has an effect on your life, which is probably everyone. So don't let the fact that like you don't know anything about planning or zoning necessarily hamper your interest in serving. You learn quickly, and there's a million ways to ask questions and get more information too, which is really great. And that's what we're supposed to be. We're citizens. We're not professionals.
Exactly.
And that's with intent.
You're representing the voice of the community. You're not meant to be a professional. That's our job to help you. Your job is to say, hey, my community around me and those that I feel like I want to represent need this voice, and that's what you would be here.
Yep.
It's also only like sometimes every other Thursday.
Right. Yeah, the commitment is low. And
It is every other Thursday, I will say.
It's a paid position.
Yes.
Stipend position.
We get a little stipend per meeting attendance, and it's the second and fourth Thursday of every month. Occasionally we won't have a meeting if we don't have something to discuss, and occasionally we will have an extra meeting if we are meeting with city council, but otherwise it's as big or as little as you want to make it, which is kind of how I describe it to folks who ask. So, yeah.
If we don't like you, we'll boot you off.
Right.
Oh,
No,
we will not do that.
the mayor will, though.
All right. Anything else, commissioners, staff, council? Also, our city council representative is here. Hi, Luke. Okay, I will adjourn this meeting of the Moab City Planning Commission at 6:51 p.m. Thank you, everyone.